is Sports Network.
NFL Nation, how you doing? Come on in. I'm Dolph Jackson.
And I'm Carlos Clayton.
And today, here on Come On In NFL, we have a very special guest in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's welcome Mr. Charles Davis. Charles, come on in.
Hey, how you guys doing? How's everything?
It's going great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Hey, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you on here, man. And thank you so much for being a part of Come On In Sports Network.
And right back at you, Carlos. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on with both of you. So let's try and have some fun, huh?
Yeah, let's have some fun talking football.
Let's get into it. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. First question that we'd like to ask you, but before we even get there, we want to congratulate you, sir, on being named the new voice of college football on CBS starting in 2026, as you will be replacing the retiring Mr. Gary Danielson. What kind of feeling was it when you got the call to know that, hey, CBS wanted you to be the new voice of his college football show?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. I'd say probably overwhelmed was the first word that came to mind, because Gary Danielson's been doing this so well for so long that he's just identified as that person. You know, he'd been with, Vern Lundquist for all that time before, Uncle Vern, and then with Gary, and now with Brad Nessler. And those two have just been doing it so well. First, it was the SEC on CBS. Then it became the Big Ten on CBS. Doesn't matter the conference. Those two do it as well, if not better than anyone else out there. And to have someone, tell me that, hey, you're getting to follow Gary Danielson.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know that we always talk about this in sports when a great coach retires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we usually leave it in the coaching realm, because the playing realm, it's a different feel, even though you have to replace a legend.
Right.
But you want your shot as a player. As a coach, it's a little bit different, because what do we always say? You probably want to be the person who follows the person.
The person, yes.
Yes, exactly.
So when Andy Reid retires, do you really want to be the next coach of the Kansas City Chiefs? Yeah. Right? Bill Belichick retired, and Gerard Mayo followed him. And unfortunately for Gerard, it didn't work out for one season. Now, it doesn't always go that way. We just saw it in basketball. John Shire following Coach K. He's in the Final Four his second season. So sometimes it goes okay. But for the most part, when you're following the legend, yeah. So I'm like, okay. But I will say this. I am thrilled Gary's doing the 2025 season.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
One last lap for him.
The farewell tour.
Right.
I want everyone to come out and shower him and show him the love and the admiration. I wish it were the SEC where he did the bulk of his years.
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, people have to remember Gary's a Purdue grad, a Big Ten player, before he went to the NFL. So I hope the Big Ten turns out and shows Gary the love he deserves. Yes. And for me this season, I'm just staying out of the way. This is Gary. Call me in 2026, and I'm not going to step into his shoes. I'm just going to bronze him. I'm going to put him face, put some soft light on him, make sure the dust is dusted off of him every day.
Yes, sir.
And try and do the best I can to be, half of what Gary Danielson was. Because if I can get to half, I'll be all right.
Yes, sir. Well, I have no doubt you're going to be great at that next year. I promise you that. There's no coincidence that you got to this level, because it seems like since 1997, when you first got started in broadcasting, you've only gone up from there. Every few years, people recognize you. You're the voice of freaking Madden, So everyone recognizes who Charles Davis is. And one thing about you is the way you speak. The why people love you so much is because how you speak, right? And we can feel the passion without even any kind of circus tricks, without being loud and obnoxious, whatever. We understand your passion for football. My question to you, where did that love for football come from? Where did it start from?
Really great question. It started with my parents. It started with my mom and my dad. My dad was a high school teacher and coach. And when I was born, it was Elizabethton, Tennessee. Tennessee, near Kingsport, Johnson City, the Tri-Cities area, they call it. And when I was born in 1964, you guys, as you well know, the Brown versus Board of Education decision had come down in 1954. Thurgood Marshall had gotten that done. That was the integration of schools. But you remember the key line in the decision was schools to integrate with all deliberate speed. So that is 54, 55, right?
Yes, sir.
1964, I'm born. My dad was still teaching and coaching at the colored school.
Right.
Elizabeth and Douglas High School, home of the Dragons.
Go Dragons.
Long live the Dragons.
Long live the Dragons. And I was born in 64 in November, and my first football game was Thanksgiving Day that year. Mom bubbled me up, took me to Dad's game. They were playing and the whole deal. And so we were there in Elizabethton. And then in 1967, we moved to New York State, a little place called New Paltz, New York. And I was 2 when we moved, and that's where I grew up. But that's where my passion started. My dad was a teacher and coach. And, you know, when you're coaching on the high school level, especially back in the old days, right, you didn't coach one sport.
Right.
You coached them all.
Oh, yeah.
So he was a football coach. He was a basketball coach. He was, you know, teaching swim classes. He was doing it all.
Track.
You name it, right? Whatever sport it was, he was doing it. And then, of course, you handle a full load in the classroom and the whole thing. So I grew up. His players were babysitting me, right? His players were doing all that. And then when I got old enough, my mother, when I got on her nerves, which was pretty frequently, throw me in the car, take me to his practices, yell, Frank, point to me, and then she was gone. So my babysitter was football fields, basketball courts, all of those things. So you grow up in it. All right. So now I'm the unofficial ball boy, right?
Right.
Whatever needs my dad had. Hey, go get water for the guy. Hey, go bring that ball to me here. Hey, go do this. Hey, go do it. So I grew up on it. And when they won and we were taking the bus ride, I was in the back learning words I shouldn't learn. You know, I was fully immersed. And so when you ask where the love and the passion came from, it's real easy to love. You know, when you see the people on TV, those giants of the game, and believe me, I like them. But the giants for me were my dad's players. They were the ones I could touch them. I knew them.
Right.
I thought they were, you know, gods right here on earth, because when you're a little guy and you're looking up and this guy's a high school senior, that's a big deal. Right. And to this day, I'm in touch with a decent number of them.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's one of the coolest things for me, because they helped do it. So that's my long-winded way of saying, where did my passion come from? It came from my dad being involved, teaching, coaching, and then, of course, every other influence that came with it, his players, other assistant coaches. And here's the kicker. When we moved to New Paltz in 1967, the head football coach, baseball coach, assistants and all that, those are the people who were greeting us, the other teachers, right, to welcome us to New Paltz. I played high school football for that same football coach. I played high school baseball for that same baseball coach.
Wow.
And my basketball coach, I had 2 in high school. One, my neighbor right across the street, Coach Ackert, who took me under his wing when I was a little guy. I was his ball boy and bat boy for his baseball teams and basketball teams. I played for him first. And then when he retired, I played for my dad.
I tell you what, you're a great guest because you gave us a 2-for-1 answer.
Yes.
So we were going for like who's your major influences.
Yes.
We got it all. I mean, obviously mom and dad, very loving family, and then football, that's another love itself as well. So we got all that, man. All those, what they say, beautiful F words out there. Yeah, family, football, fun, all that, man. So we got to make it. Let's go ahead and talk draft now. That's what we're here for. Let's talk some good football. How about that, man? Y'all don't know, we got Mr. Charles Davis on here, y'all. So let's break down. Every year is different. Each class, new players come in, new storylines. We get that. What particular theme, if you had a phrase or a couple of words to say about this year's theme, major theme about this year's draft, what would it be?
You remember the Tom Hanks movie Big?
Yes.
That's the word, big, because we're talking big people this year taking center stage. We're talking defensive linemen, including edge rushers, of course. We're talking offensive linemen. We're talking big people. Instead of receivers, we're talking tight ends.
Right.
Tight end group is probably rated higher than the receivers group is overall, which is very unusual in today's football, because until the three of us shuffle off this mortal coil, if we're going to keep playing NFL football the way we're playing it, we're going to have receivers because 7-on-7 is a thing. Right.
Right.
We're pitching and catching it way more than we ever did. When I was a little guy, you wore the number when you took your jersey and went and played in the yard. You wore running backs numbers. No one's wearing running back numbers now. Very few.
No.
You're wearing quarterback numbers. You're wearing receiver numbers.
Yeah.
That's where we are. So this is an unusual draft because the meat and potatoes of this draft, the starters and people that we're talking about, the top of it, for the most part, talking big people. Now, obviously, we have outliers. Okay. Travis Hunter is one of the great outliers we'll ever talk about, right? Wide receiver, defensive back, both. We're going to find out how that goes down. Abdul Carter goes with the big people as a pass rusher. Okay? We have running backs in this draft.
Yes, sir.
A bunch of them, okay? We're interested in seeing how many go in the first round. Could there be 3? 2, I feel like, is a lock. Could a third sneak in? Potentially. And then the tight ends between Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, and then a bunch of names after that, including Mason Taylor, son of, Jason Taylor, Hall of Fame player. We can go on and on and on, but I think big is the theme. And I can't remember what year it was, guys, but we had one draft that was like that, where we ended up drafting offensive linemen and defensive linemen in the top 10, and it was a weird draft. I don't know if this one's going to be weird, but I know that it's not sexy like it was last year.
Right.
The quarterbacks in the first 12 picks. It doesn't get much sexier than that. I mean, that was as sexy as we could get and still stay on television. You know what I mean?
So as fans, like you said, those are the sexy picks: receivers, quarterbacks, running backs. But football is a game that will always be won, in my opinion, at the line of scrimmage, and the Eagles proved that this year. So when you look at the offensive line class of this draft, who stands out to you as a player that can last in the league at least 10 years?
I'm thinking Tyler Booker, the offensive guard from Alabama. I just think he's built to last. He's not going to blow you away with his combine numbers, right? Some of his numbers people got a little worried about. I remember Orlando Brown Jr. when he went through the combine. I think we're still waiting for him to finish the 40.
Yes.
But if we look at his career, starting at right tackle with the Ravens,
yes,
became a Pro Bowl player, wants to be a left tackle and honor his father, Orlando Sr., Zeus.
Yes, sir.
Who left us much too soon. Wanted to be a left tackle, just dreamed, I got to play left tackle, not right tackle. Goes to Kansas City, gets him a ring, right? And then has moved on since then to Cincinnati. But he's been an all-pro, Pro Bowl player. Did his combine numbers tell us he was going to be? His combine numbers gave us alarm.
Right.
But then you turned on the tape and watched him at Oklahoma, and people were just getting buried. Guess what? They're still getting buried in the NFL. So sometimes the stopwatches and the scores They mean something because they give you context, but don't just rely on that. Know what the kid can do, know how he can play, watch what he's done on tape consistently, and probably err on the side of what the tape tells you, not the tape measure.
Yeah. Are you more towards the combine, or are you towards basically what I see on tape? What more do you further go to? Because I'm more of what I see on tape. I say there's speed, and then there's NFL on the field speed. Like, what do you see? What do you go more towards?
I lean towards the tape as you do, Carlos, because the tape gives us the consistency. You know, at worst, you're going to get entire season of games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
most
sir.
of these guys, you're getting multiple seasons of games.
Right.
So you see them in all situations. You see the good, the bad, the ugly. You see the greatness at times. You see times where there's inconsistencies. What the combine or a pro day tells me, and I learned this from people who do this really well for a living in the scouting community, they tell me essentially boils down to this when you get to the combine or a pro day. Does it confirm what you've seen on tape?
Mm-hmm.
Or does it lead you back to the tape because you have questions? That's what it really does for you.
Right.
So if you've watched a guy, and Carlos, you've watched him and you said, my goodness, can he fly? And then you go to the combine or the pro day and he clicks off a 4.35. You're like, yep. Exactly what I thought. But if you thought this guy could fly on tape and he gets to the combine or the pro day and all of a sudden he's running 4.6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I have questions. One of my favorite examples of making sure we really have it down. Remember Joe Hayden, the great corner?
Coming back from the Browns.
Exactly. He was a terrific player. Finished up with the Steelers, came out of University of Florida, was a consensus top 10 guy going into the draft. Goes to the combine. I don't know what happened. Biorhythms were off. The moon wasn't in the seventh house. Mars. Joe just looked out of sorts, slow, and ran really slow in his 40 for him, right? Like he'd still dust me, but I'm just saying,
right.
For him, he ran slow. All right. He probably ran closer to 4.5 or something like that. I think he ran to 4.5s or whatever. We were all like, whoa, what happened here? 3 weeks later at his pro day at Florida. Now, remember, we run on turf in the combine in Indy. He ran on grass. And I think grass, we kind of give you like 0.2, higher because grass is slow.
Right.
He ran like a 4.35 on the grass. And we're like, there he is.
Yeah.
So, hey, draft him where you're supposed to. Draft him off of the tape you have. It's confirmed. Boom. So sometimes one day is not all that you're really looking for. You want to make sure that you have it confirmed as you go.
I always tell people the Hall of Fame is not full of 4.3, 4.2 guys. It's not. It's guys at the receiver position and cornerback. Can you guard that man? Can you catch that football? And can you break away? The breakaway speed. Those are the guys that are going to the Hall of Fame. So I always get that, like, the Raiders for a while, they were going with just straight fast receivers for like a 6-year period, and those guys came and went just as fast, So I like, if you look at it, I mean, besides the obvious Randy Mosses and maybe even the Calvin Johnson, guys aren't running 4.3 in the Hall of Fame. So it's like, be careful what you look at it, because you can ooh and ah all day, and that might help you go from round 7 to maybe round 5. But for top tier guys, it's like, hey, can you catch the ball? Can you break away? Can you get separation? And that's what really counts in the NFL.
So true, absolutely true. And I'll be very brief on this one. Jerry Rice didn't blow away a stopwatch, did he?
Not one.
Okay, how many times did you see Jerry get caught?
Seldom,
very seldom.
Carlos, you mentioned it earlier. Game speed. Okay, some guys carry it, some guys have it, some guys play. It is just, look, Dwight Clark, God rest his soul, he was breaking no records in running.
He'll kill you.
But not only did he make the catch happen, he made a lot of other things happen with his route running and his consistency. Raymond Berry, one of the all-time greats, later he became the coach of the Patriots. I bet you if you timed him downhill at 38 yards, he wasn't breaking 4 or 5. Guess what? Became one of the all-time greats by understanding everything, being very precise in his route running, not missing anything at all, timing it up so his quarterback trusted him, and that ball was boom, boom. He and Unitas were unbelievable doing it together. We can go on and on with the example.
Right.
John Randall never gets drafted out of Texas A&I, but guess what? He had a gold jacket.
Jacket on, yes.
So you guys have made a really excellent point about what the Hall of Fame is made up of. It's made up of football players,
right.
Elite football players. And you have to understand how to judge the science versus the art versus the actual.
And speaking of football players, let's talk about who do you believe is the #1 player in this year's draft? Some say it's Dual Carter. Some say it's Travis Hunter. Where would you go?
For me, it's Travis Hunter. I just think he's just exceptional. And you go into it, and I've talked to enough people now that if they went into it thinking, I want to play him on defense, I don't know that he's an elite pass catcher. They've watched the tape, and they've come away going, oh, he is a pass catcher. And if you flip it around, hey, I want to play him on offense, I don't know about him on defense. They come away and go, oh, heck, technique, he needs work.
Yes.
But guys don't catch the ball very often against him. Like, you can watch him on tape as a defensive back. And I have a Hall of Fame defensive back carry me and others through a tutorial session on him as a defensive back. And he spent all this time going technique wrong here, footwork wrong here, look at this wrong here, that's wrong here. Watch the end of the play, though. Oh, ball's knocked away. Okay, this is wrong here, that's wrong here.
Wow.
That's wrong here. Oh, watch the end of the play. Interception. He said, so that can be worked on.
Yes.
Right.
But the ball skills, the understanding, the football IQ, understanding where the ball's going, he's got it. I think he's got everything you're looking for. So I pick him as my #1, but that doesn't mean Abdul Carter's not a great player. Doesn't mean where else you want to put in there. I just think with him, I'm not going to go wrong. Now, the kicker is going to be when he gets drafted, by whatever team drafts him, what is their plan on what he's going to do?
That was my next question for you.
And I will tell you this. I think that if you, out of 32 people who signed the checks for their teams, meaning they own the squad, they own that's their franchise. I think in the high 20s, they're going to want him to play offense because that's where you get the most bang for your buck, selling it to your fans and your season ticket holders and your groups. Him touching the football means a lot. Those who have to be convinced, those who may be open to it, if you want to play him on defense, that's cool. But think of it this way, guys, and this is just me talking now. If I play him on offense, I have a much better chance of putting the ball in his hands multiple times in a game.
Right.
Yes.
On defense, if he's the lockdown corner we expect him to be and grow into that, I've got better chances of avoiding him. And I'm hoping he can make some plays down the road. I probably want to force feed him doing it. But this player, this Hall of Fame player gave me some great words. And he said, look, if you're going to play him on both sides of the ball, I think that you have to make him a defensive back first and a package on offense, not a wide receiver first and a package on defense, because the technique is so strict on the defensive side that if you don't get the right work in, your technique slips here against the guy from Baylor who's going to be a tax accountant like me. But your technique slips and you're playing the Indianapolis Colts and that guy's an NFL player like you, that's 6 points.
Let's put your GM hat on like we don't do it already. But let's go ahead and if you're the Browns, New York Giants, maybe even the Patriots who could get a Travis Hunter, and we know about his confidence playing both ways, full throttle. If you're that team, that GM, that head coach that gets him, are you willing to at least try it out to play both ways fully? Or are you sticking with your package deal on offense and fully on defense?
I'm not going fully in the beginning. I may evolve into fully, but he's got to grow into it too.
Yeah.
He weighed 188, 188.
A little slight.
Right at the combine. I have it on decent authority that he played in the high 170s last year. Okay. Part of that comes from just maturity as a person.
Yes.
Okay, you remember when we were 18 to 22
Yeah.
old,
Man.
and you could eat what you want, do
Yes.
what you want, and
No problem.
fine, and nothing bothered you, and then you hit 30. Wham! Whoa!
What's this? Yeah.
But you grow into it as you get older. You carry weight better, right?
Yes, sir.
It stays
Right.
on you.
Yes.
You don't melt down the same. So there's part of that. My big thing is very simply this: we can take some of these elite athletes and have what I call whiteboard fever, because you get up on the board and you take one of those X's or one of those O's, and that represents that player. And with Travis Hunter, you go, well, I can play him here.
Yeah.
Play him here. I can play him here. He can make plays for me here. I can do this with him. Jack of all trades, master of none. Yes. I want him to master something, have that down, and slowly add to the plate and see where we're going. Because here's the other thing. 17 games in the NFL. I know he played 110 plays per game in college, which is unbelievable. They play at a faster pace, so it's really incredible what he got done. Here's the contrast. Think about the hitting in college versus the hitting in the NFL. Think about now, you're not playing Saturday to Saturday, Saturday to Thursday, right? Thursday.
Right. Yes.
Right? Thursday to the next Sunday. Come back to a Monday night game.
Yeah.
You're playing at 1, you're playing at 4, you're playing at 8. All this comes into play as you learn how to handle it and navigate it. Let's not confuse him too early. Let's make him master something, bring it to the play. I'm not saying he can't do it, but I see no reason to try and do it.
Baby steps.
Isaiah Simmons. Remember Isaiah Simmons coming out?
Yes.
Wild
card on defense, baby. Put him anywhere.
Yeah.
But it was tough. You're right.
We still haven't found that true niche that we thought we would find. He said his best plays have been with the Giants. The Cardinals, they just never quite found it. I worry about that. I don't want to do that with Travis Hunter. I want him to go ahead and have something down, and then I'll add to it as we go along. That's just me.
All right, Charles. So let's segue to me and Carlos's favorite team in your most recent mock draft. Yeah. You have the Saints taking Will Campbell. Mm-hmm. Why do you think Will Campbell is the right selection for the Saints at number 9?
I think that for them, obviously, remember when Teron Armstead was holding down left tackle, life is good, right? I mean, it was a lock each and every week. They've really been trying to recreate that since then. Okay, who's going to play that position? Remember drafting Trevor Penning? Hasn't worked. They've moved him to right tackle, and they're hoping to get there. Campbell's going to be an interesting one, though, because whoever drafts him has to believe that he's the left tackle, because the arm length is going to come into play a little bit. And as much as sometimes we scoff at these things, they do show up on the NFL level when you're dealing with certain people. Remember Robert Gallery coming out of Iowa?
Yes, sir.
He ended up having a very nice career as a guard. But when you're drafted to be the left tackle. People forget. They're like, hold on a sec. He didn't have a great career. Well, he did. But he's drafted to be left tackle. He's number 2 overall. That's what you have to make sure. So New Orleans would have to have that full conviction. But I think he's got the footwork. I like it there. I like his ability to battle. Doesn't hurt that he's coming from LSU and understands that part of the country pretty darn well.
Yes, sir. Are you buying Shedeur Sanders to New Orleans? I mean, it's a thing going on. How much are you buying on that?
Listen, it makes sense to me for this reason. You get a chance to get a young quarterback that doesn't have to play right away.
Yes.
Derek Carr's there. You're also getting a head coach who's a quarterback guru. And you're getting a head coach who understands how to make throws without much arm. Kellen Moore is one of the great winners in college football.
Yes.
Remember his record at Boise State as a starting quarterback?
Almost flawless. Almost.
3 losses?
50 and 3.
Yeah, 3 losses.
Okay. He beat Georgia in the Georgia Dome. When I say he and Boise State beat Georgia in the Georgia Dome. They beat a really good Virginia Tech team in Landover, Maryland. They won a lot of big games, and he made a lot of big plays late in games without being able to throw the ball with any type of real authority. He beat you with anticipation, understanding, and really good accuracy.
Right. He
gets that. I'm not saying – look, Shedeur Sanders' arm is quadruple what Kellen Moore's was.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Right. But it's not a howitzer. So Kellen understands offense and how to get the ball the right places, what you're going to do. And by the way, Shedeur plays more from the pocket and understands that. He, like most college quarterbacks, though, they always think they can make a play.
Yeah,
and they hold the ball too long.
Yes, sir.
And they hurt their offensive line. His process will speed up in the NFL level. Otherwise, he won't make it. But he's not the only one. Caleb Williams found out that lesson last year in Chicago, didn't he?
Yes, sir, he did. You played DB at Tennessee in the late 80s. And we understand the safety game was totally different. It's totally different. When you look in today's safeties, what do they have to bring now to fulfill their draft status? What are you looking for in today's safety, and who are those guys that you want to look at?
Yeah, to go from my time frame to where we are now, it's a whole different deal. You're essentially, I'm not saying you have 4 corners on the field, but it feels like it. The ability to cover people is so paramount now than it was when I was playing. A lot of us safeties, you look up and see full cages and neck roll.
Yeah.
Because we were much more defined. Free safety was the roamer. Strong safety was down in the box. And if formation strength shifted, the strong safety went from one side to the other.
Right. Yes, sir.
But now what we do is I call them mirrors. The safeties are almost the same guy. So instead of one guy shifting all across formation, if formation changes, one shifts back, one shifts forward. You just reduce assignments. That's what you have nowadays. When you're watching Malachi Starks and Nick Emanwari out of South Carolina, Starks out of Georgia, Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame, you're seeing guys now who really do a nice job covering. And it's not just covering tight ends strictly. They go in the slot and cover slot receivers. They'll go in and cover the bigger, taller receivers outside if they have to shift their other corners inside. They'll get the running backs coming out on those wheel routes. They do a lot of different things now. And obviously, the guy in Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
Hamilton's the beast. Right? Kyle Hamilton. And, speaking of that, remember when he ran 4.57 and everyone's like, oh, God.
Oh, no. I remember that.
Yeah. So, Charles, let me ask you this. How do you separate the safeties in this year's draft class? Emanwari, Malachi Starks, and the young man from Notre Dame, Watts. Yeah. How do you separate them? What basically separates them all for being, let's say, the number 1 safety in this draft class?
It's in the eyes of the beholder. It absolutely is the eyes of the beholder, because I think that each team will have a different plan in how they see them playing. Okay, here's how I would look at it. If I'm playing Malachi Starks, if I'm drafting him, I want him to be a lot like, let's see, who's that guy in Pittsburgh?
Draw Polamalu.
No. Currently.
Who is currently in
not Clinton. I'm about to say Clinton Howard Dix.
No, that's okay. We'll come back to it. He came out of Alabama. Yeah. Miami drafted him, the whole deal. But anyway, it's an all pro, right? But I want Malachi Starks to be a single high, roaming guy, come downhill, make the plays for me, make plays in the pass game in front of me, occasionally go in the slot and cover people. Nick Emanwari, I'm going to want to have a plan for him, because I want to get him comfortable with things, because he blew away the combine so big. I think people started thinking, oh, God, I can do everything with him. All right. He is a big, strong, physical player. I want him probably involved in my run game early. But the way he can run, I know he can go out there and cover people and cover a lot of ground from deep half, deep middle, the whole deal. Xavier Watts is just ball hawk supreme. All right. He is just a guy that's going to find the football, and the football finds him.
Yes, sir.
In everything that he does, you see him show up in all parts of the deal. Wow. I'm just absolutely crazy about him. So separating them is simply how teams are evaluating.
Okay.
If you're talking about the combine numbers and the overall athlete, I think Emanwari wins that battle. I don't think that's even, I'm not saying it's not a fair fight, but Emanwari was overwhelming at the combine, running, jumping, agility. All those things were there, but that didn't mean Starks didn't make a heck of a lot of plays in college. That didn't mean Watts didn't make a heck of a lot of plays in college. there are a bunch of guys out there who can flat out play. And because the passing game's so prevalent in the college game too, you're getting to see it in real time as well. And what ends up happening is we talk about the top guys so much. A Billy Bowman at Oklahoma who finds the football and makes a lot of plays. We don't talk about it. When you look up and your favorite team drafts him in the 4th round, and you've got a starter on your hands.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to talk about Jackson Dart for a second. We've seen one of your mock drafts have him at Pittsburgh at one point, but I've seen Bears mock drafts 3 to the Giants, 7 to the Jets.
I put him 3 to the Giants, the first one. And let me tell you something. Not being on social media was a really good idea for me. I put him at 3, and I put him there the week before free agency because in my mind, I knew the Jets were players at quarterback, right?
Right.
At that time, the Las Vegas Raiders were a player for a quarterback. Mickey Loomis, the GM in New Orleans, had announced that Derek Carr was going to be their quarterback. So for the moment, I took them out of play.
Right.
So in the top 10 now, we were down a few spots. Cleveland was a quarterback spot. Tennessee's a quarterback spot at 1, Cleveland at 2, and the Giants at 3. Well, at that time, I gave him Shador at 1. I gave him Cam Ward at 2 to Cleveland. And I said, heck, the Giants, they need a quarterback badly. Let me throw Jackson Dart up here. Boy, that was fun. Let me tell you, people went crazy. But as you guys have noted, since that time, you've seen him go from people not even really talking about it to Pittsburgh at 21, New Orleans at 9.
9, yes.
Right?
Right.
And maybe somewhere in between when people think maybe someone take a shot at a quarterback. Yeah. The most popular spots right now are probably 9 New Orleans if we go early. And if we go later, Pittsburgh might be able to just wait at 21 and have their choice, which feels a lot like 3 years ago when Kenny Pickett was available.
Oh, my God. That draft. But every year it seems to happen. A quarterback comes out of nowhere and gets pushed up the board. We had it with Zach Wilson, who went number 2 overall. Will Levis, kind of like Jackson Dart, was shooting up the boards late in the draft process. Some had him going mid-tier to late in the 1st round. Now this year it's Jackson Dart. All these young men are very talented. Yes. And it's a great accomplishment that they have done to get this far in their football careers. Let's talk about the positives. What is it that he can bring to a franchise?
Well, he's got more than enough arm to make the throws that you need to make. I don't care where you're going. He's got that type of an arm. He's a much better runner than probably what people would imagine. You pop into game tape and watch him. They called plenty of good quarterback runs for him, including quarterback draws. So it wasn't just him taking off on scrambles. Very well built, hard runner, tough to get down, the whole deal that you go with that. He's thrown 1 million footballs. Now, in Lane Kiffin's offense, it might be a little bit different what we're doing in the NFL offense, but the best way I can put it is we always talk about how Kyle Shanahan is 2 steps ahead scheming his guys available.
Right.
That's what Lane Kiffin does at Ole Miss. I mean, he schemes the heck out of it, and he's throwing in the whole deal. I remember, though, Charlie Weiss telling me, and Charlie's coached some darn good ones and developed some darn good quarterbacks. When you start looking at touchdown interception ratios and you have them really high, like Bo Nix was last year, if people have a lot of questions about a lot of things, but we always come back to, does he complete the football and does he put it in the right place? And when you do those things well, that gives you a leg up on other things that you're going to bring. The other part is I've talked to a number of these Ole Miss kids along the way, and unsolicited, they bring his name up. Offensive guys, defensive guys, the whole deal. I was talking to a young man today and asking him about his fellow comrades on defense and what they did to make Ole Miss's defense really successful. And he said, well, I knew when Jackson Dart got to town, and once we met him, that's how his answer started when I asked him about defensive guys.
Leader man.
So that tells me a lot about this young man. Remember, he's a California kid. He's a Utah kid who went to USC and then came back to Oxford, Mississippi. Now, you guys understand the South very well.
Yeah, very well.
You remember, I grew up in New York State, even though I was born in Tennessee. When I got to Knoxville, I was just a damn Yankee. Okay?
Culture shock. Culture
And
shock.
then once I became a starter, then I was a Yankee. So they kind of accepted me then once I started on the football field. Think about Jackson Dart, Utah, California, and he goes to Oxford, Mississippi, and galvanizes a team. There's something there. Now, is he number 3? I doubt that very seriously, okay? My final mock draft is the day before the draft. I can safely tell you I highly doubt he'll be at number 3 to the Giants. But that doesn't mean that someone's not going to get a quarterback. But you brought it up earlier, Dolph. That draft we had with Pickett, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, we went into draft night where there was conversation that Malik Willis was going to go number 2 overall.
Yes.
There was conversation that all 3 were first rounders. When the dust settled, Pickett went to Pittsburgh at what, 22?
21, 22.
Right? And then Desmond Ridder and Malik Willis went in the 3rd round, both of them. So this could be one of those drafts that going into it, Cam Ward is probably cemented. I'm feeling like Shedeur will still be in the 1st round, but I'm not even sure where at this point. And Jackson Dart may end up going. He and his comrades may go 2nd round on. And we really shouldn't be surprised if it happens. But I thought you brought up a really good one. The night we went to the draft with Will Levis.
Yes.
Sitting on the desk, we're doing the intro, we're watching the red carpet, and Will Levis comes in, and one of my partners who was hosting, Rich Eisen, I believe he said, can Will Levis go in the top 5?
Right.
And Will Levis didn't get drafted that night. He went 2nd pick of day 2. Still high, but sometimes we build these things up and it doesn't really work. I'll just leave it at this. Do you guys remember when all the Tom Savage momentum kicked in that draft?
Yes, sir.
And all of a sudden we're hearing Tom Savage could go. How did Tom Savage? What Tom Savage? Tom Savage, I think, went in the 5th or the 6th round. So sometimes things get swirling around.
Right.
You can't totally put your finger on it. You feel funny about totally discounting it. And sometimes you walk away going, yeah, that didn't make sense in the first place. But it was out there. I think in this draft, Cam, Shedeur feel like 1st rounders.
Right.
After that, I don't know what's
going to happen. You never know.
And
the 2nd round on, from the 2nd round on, well, look, if they go where they really probably should go, 2nd round could be a real beefy round for quarterbacks.
And let me throw a wild card in there with you. I think this young man only isn't being spoke of because of his size. Dylan Gabriel from Oregon. I think he's one being highly overlooked, and I think he's one of the most productive quarterbacks in this draft. What's your thoughts about Dylan Gabriel before we move on?
I'll answer it this way, Dolph, and make it very simple for you. Bo Nix had 61 college starts. That meant something, didn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
In the NFL. Dylan Gabriel had 63. Yeah, Bo Nix, 2 different schools. Dylan Gabriel, 3 schools. And in all 3 schools, he produced in a big way. Plus, old enough, this guy, that I saw his father play at the University
wow.
on some really good football teams where his dad was at least a 3-year starter at the quarterback position. Kid was raised in it, understands it, gets it. Stature may not be everything you're looking for, but we're not there anymore. Like Bryce Young's stature isn't there. And he struggled early, really came on the 2nd half of last year. This is a big year for him. But with the rules of the game, you have a chance to be a smaller quarterback and be effective. I'll just leave it here for you, Dolph. A retired general manager said to me, I would draft Dylan Gabriel tomorrow as my backup. I think he'd be a really good backup for me.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And then we will find out from there because I know what I'm getting. I'm getting a kid that understands, a kid who's going to get the playbook, a kid who's going to execute my offense, not making mistakes. And by the way, I doubt he'll be ruffled by a whole lot considering his experience. So I think you're onto something, Dolph.
I'm looking at these receivers in the 20s, Emeka Mbuka from Ohio State. I'm looking at Luther from Missouri.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him from Missouri. I'm thinking about guys at the back end, the Chiefs, the Eagles, Bills, Ravens, those teams. I feel like someone's going to move up and probably get one of those guys to secure their receiving core. Is there a position that you think other teams might move up for from that 2nd round to that 1st round because of the 5th-year option?
Yeah, I mean, look, you mentioned the receivers for those who might need it. I don't think the quarterbacks are that this year. Remember, the Ravens did that and got Lamar Jackson at 32.
Right.
We've always done that. We've gone and gotten that quarterback for the 5th-year option. It doesn't feel that way this year that people are quite as concerned about that one. But I do think the tight end position might be one spot. Now, I don't know if they're coming into, as you mentioned, the first round, but you mentioned the second round. That makes a little more sense to me because I think we're loaded with tight ends, just absolutely loaded with guys who can make plays. There's a kid at Texas Tech, Jalen Conyers, who looks like an old school tight end and moves around like a new school tight end, but they didn't throw it to him much at Texas Tech. They're more air raid. They throw it out.
Right.
This young man, now he's a full scale meal now. Let me tell you, 260, big, soft hands, plays wildcat quarterback for him at times. He makes a bunch of plays. So tight end might be one of those spots that people want to get involved in because after Warren and Loveland, I think they're almost locks for the first round. Now we're going to start talking about who's going to go get those guys next, the Mason Taylors, the Fannons, the Jalen Conyers might be a little bit more down the road. Bunch of guys out there that can make plays for you. Elijah Arroyo from Miami.
Yes,
beautiful as a mover, and another guy that catches many passes in college as you might have suspected.
So, Charles, who are some of your third-day gems in this year's draft?
Well, there's a pass rusher out of Central Arkansas named David Walker.
Walker.
Love him. Absolutely love him. Doesn't fit the mold, not tall enough, arms, the whole thing.
All right. So he's a tweener.
Yeah, Elvis Dumerville, Shaq Barrett.
Gotcha.
He gets people on the ground, okay? From Southern Arkansas to Central Arkansas. I think that he can flat out play. I'm really, really crazy about him. There's a running back named Marcus Yarns out of Delaware. He's got some juice. Okay, got some juice and he can flow. So I think that he would be a nice guy that I'm looking at on day 3, a little bit later in the draft. I think can go and make someone's team and have a real positive effect on them. I'm trying to think of who else we would have there. What is the young man's name? Vincent is his last name. He's an offensive tackle from Alabama A&M.
Yeah, Carson Vincent, my favorite player from the Senior Bowl.
Yes, and he came from the Senior Bowl, and we saw him at left tackle. I think he's got bulk to move inside to guard, but I think he's probably going to stay more as a tackle, especially initially. I think he's going to be a day 3 pick. And he's going to, you're going to have a nice project there to work with, and I think he'll be a good player. And speaking of HBCU, there's a kid named Robert McDaniel, who's a safety from Jackson State. Strong safety, free safety, nickel safety type of a player, about 210 pounds. He's running in the 4.3s. He's vertical jumping 40 inches. Someone needs to take a good hard look and take a gamble on that young man because I think he might do some damage for you.
I'm always big on running backs day 3. Who could be that one running back? I got a Bayshaw Tootin from
he's not making
Tech. Yeah, I'm saying maybe he might not be, but if he is, he's a gem though. I'm like, if someone gets that kid, I've seen it. I'm like, this dude is gonna be amazing. And
did you blink when he ran his 40?
Okay, kid is amazing.
He was done.
He's a made man, huh?
Yeah, listen, he's a North Carolina A&T transfer.
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, okay. North Carolina A&T to Virginia Tech. Was playing with a brace on, I believe, his left knee for much of the season last year. The brace is no longer there. You saw the pure speed, but plenty of production. Tough, compact, hard-nosed ball carrier. I'm with you on that. If he gets to day 3, he's going to be a gem for someone. I don't know that he'll make it there because what he showed at the combine with the speed was something else.
Right.
What's yours? I have my own day 3 gems. First gem that I have, and he may not make it to day 3. I think he'll make it to day 2, top of the 3rd. But Tyler Shuck, quarterback from Louisville.
Yeah.
I like everything about this kid. 6-year player, coach, started Texas Tech, had some injuries, but this year at Louisville seemed to put it all together. Very talented player. He's a leader. He can make all the throws. Tyler Shuck, do you think he will be a day 3 gem, or better yet, because I got him as day 3, but
Yeah.
I think the kid he's too good to last to day 3.
I'm with you on that one, Dolph, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went day 2 in the second round. Would not shock me one bit. He is a guy that people like more and more and more as we go along in the process. It wasn't that long ago we really used to ding kids if we used to call them overaged.
Yes.
Well, since COVID, the super senior year, all that's kind of gone out the window. And there's something about a quarterback coming in with a little extra age to him and experience to go into a grown man's huddle and play. Nothing wrong with that. Tyler Shuck's got 4 college degrees, guys. 4. Tyler Shuck was around on the same roster with Justin Herbert at Oregon.
Oh my God!
Wow.
So when you're talking about having experience and coming into it, he's not as old as Brandon Weed and Chris Wenke when they came into the league.
Yeah, and they got drafted.
He's got some age on him. He's got experience. The beauty for him last year, as Dolph pointed out, was he had a monster season and he stayed healthy. That was the first year in his college career that he was able to play game 1 through game 12. Earlier, he'd had injuries. People want to call him injury prone. He pushes back against that, and I get where he's coming from. Yeah. He's had a lot of bad luck with injuries. Had some really freak things happen. But last year was a big year for him, and there are plenty of people who like him better than they like Jackson Dart. So it's going to be a very interesting deal to see where he comes off the board. You may like him in day 3, but Dolph, if you don't get him on day 2, I don't think you're getting
him. All right. Now, here's my number 2, Charles. I done warmed up now, baby. We warmed up now. Here's my number 2. My number 2 wide receiver from the University of Maryland. You look at his production year after year after year. He's gotten better than this year. Bam, he explodes. I'm talking about number 10 for the Terriers. Ty Felton. There you go. Let's talk about Ty.
I like that we're mind melding there, Dolph, because he's one of my favorite players in this. And you mentioned getting better year after year after year. Think it's something in the neighborhood of 5 catches to 23 catches to 39 catches to 76 this past year, over 1,000 yards. His first 4 games, I think he averaged 150, 160 yards a game last year. But here's the best part about his game. A lot of his yardage is after the catch. A lot of his yardage is after contact. He was in the top 5 in the country after the catch and after contact. Love those guys. Make a catch. You're not just going down at the spot, right? We have a little term for it. Get what you catch, right? Running backs, get what's blocked. If I have a running back that only is getting what's blocked, I'm in trouble.
Right.
Because the better ones are going to get me more somehow. The better receivers are going to get me more. That's what Tom Felton does. Oh, and then he came back and ran us a little nifty 4.37 at the
4.37.
So thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. I think he's going to be one of those guys we're going to look at in day 3.
Yes.
I can play him in the slot. I can play him outside. He catches the ball. He turns it into more. My loose comp for him, Khalil Shakir, coming out of Boise State. And you saw how Shakir has developed in the NFL.
All right. And my last gem, my last gem, defense we did offense, my last gem from the University of Toledo, Darius Alexander. We saw him at the Senior Bowl. Talk to me about Big Darius.
Not many people blocked him in the Senior Bowl, did they, Don?
Hey, I was sitting there looking. I was like, this kid is unblockable.
Yeah, not many people blocked him. And he's linear in terms of you see the height, but you also see the slipperiness of him. And then when you start thinking he's much of a mover, then he runs right over you. He's got a little bit of everything to his game. I love his hands because I think they're heavy and gives him a good shock. Right. Mason Graham, when he comes off the ball from Michigan, and he catches with both hands, people are getting ice packs in between series. I think that this kid that you're talking about, Alexander, is similar in that way, but I like his movement skills. Quick, easy comparison, and again, it's a loose one. Darius Robinson coming out of Missouri last year, being able to play up and down the line, find different spots and matchups. Robinson's rookie year didn't go the way they wanted to, but he had a lot of off-the-field personal things that affected him.
Right.
Started to play late in the season. They're counting on him this year. I really like your guy out of Toledo. That rocket is ready to take off.
For every for every player that gets drafted, and congratulations to those who are going to get drafted 200 plus, there's
yes,
always
definitely
400 or 500 that don't hear their names being called. I know you face similar adversary, when you're not hearing your name called.
Yeah,
and for your draft day,
quite well.
So I want to say, what advice would you give for anyone that doesn't hear their name being called those 3 days? What kind of advice would you give those guys?
Yeah, the hard part is when something like that happens, it is a ding to your confidence. Like it's a rejection of you, right? People have said, "Hey, we don't want you." That's how you feel, but you can't let that feeling fester. And I've told people this for many years. At the end of the draft, don't make the mistake I did, because you kind of buy into it. Oh, well, maybe I'm not that good. Oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to be. Maybe I'm not. And if you buy into it, you got no shot. But you are talented, all right? And if you get a chance to go, be in peak physical condition, be in peak mental condition, be ready to do everything when you're there, take every rep possible, and make them notice you. And how many guys do we talk about each and every year? Not just making rosters in the NFL, but becoming Pro Bowl, All-Pro, starters, key backups, guys who are dependable, you name it. Guys are wearing gold jackets that never got drafted in this league.
Warner.
And all in between. But you can make a living. You can make an impact. You can do it if you go into it full-hearted. I did not, and I've said it before. When they close the lid on my coffin, the last thought I'm going to have is, man, I didn't give myself my best shot to make it in the NFL. I tried to tell my kids that. I tried to tell every other kid out there, don't make that mistake. Because many people out there running around didn't get picked either.
Right.
And they made it in the NFL. Why not you as well? That's what I tell them all the time.
Right. Well, listen, it's been a great show. Charles, first of all, once again, thank you for taking time out and joining us. It is a pleasure. And listen, you're a family now. You're a part of the Come On In family. That means you're always welcome here. And listen, again, thank you. And for everybody out there, quick before we get out of here. I met Charles at halftime during the Senior Bowl. He was taking a quick break at the getting him an ice cream sandwich, and I said, "What the hell? That's Charles Davis." I'm going to say hello to Charles Davis. So I went introduced myself, and this man asked me, like, "What do you do? Who are you?" And I told him who I'm Little Dolph, that's insignificant. No, I'm not insignificant, but I'm not insignificant. He said, well, and before I left, I said, you know what? I'd love to have you on the show. We'd love to have you. The brother said, go get your phone. Now, as I was walking over there, he didn't know this, but in my head, like, man, Charles Davis just told me go get my phone. I'm about to get Charles Davis' email. The Charles Davis, who's about to go back and finish calling the second half of the Senior Bowl. Man, it gets no better than this. Hey, closed mouths don't get fed, baby. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Closed mouths don't get fed.
I gotta hop in real quick because I was there with Dolph, and I'm sitting there packing up my bag, and I just remember Dolph come running over, big ass grin on his face, and I'm like, what you smiling about, man? Was the ice cream good? Like, what's happening? He goes, man, I just met Charles Davis, and he wants to send emails. Like, this is unbelievable, man. Thank you so much.
I was trying to say is, Charles, hey, thank you so much for taking the time out to come talk to us and spend this hour with us, man. It's been a pleasure, and we would love to have you back anytime, brother.
Hey, I appreciate that very, very much. And let me just say this in all sincerity. We're all colleagues. We're all peers. We're all doing the same thing. We all have the same love of ball. We're all trying to, evaluate things with our eyes. We all have our own opinions, but we're working at it each and every day. We're trying to do it the best we can. Dolph, to me, it's fortuitous that you took the time to come over and say hi to me. I'm glad we met and we had this chance to not just do this, but we get a chance to stay in touch. And
yes, sir.
Continued success to you guys and your show. You do.
Thank you.
It's a fun evening. Thanks for having me on. And as I said before, we're peers, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So respect to you guys. And again, humbled and honored that you would have me on.
Well, there you have it, folks. From the one and only Charles Davis. This is Come On In Sports Network. I'm Dolph Jackson. That's the great Carlos. That's Zach. Zach was in the back. you know, working everything. He got everything.
Can I come to the picnic?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I invited to the picnic?
Yeah. You're going to invite it to the picnic all the time. Yes, sir.
If I can come to the cookout.
Right now, we got a boil going next weekend. Come on.
Hey, once I get invited to the cookout, I'm good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
all right. Good night, guys.
Good night. So with that being said, family, remember, the doors are now open. So come on in.
The Cover in Sports Network.